Welcome back to Overtly Critical. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Corwin.
And this week we watched
Schlock from 1973, directed by John Landis, starring John Landis, Saul Kahan, Richard Gillis, Eric Allison, and Susan Weiser Finley.
In Schlock, a prehistoric ape emerges from a cave and explores a suburb of 1970s California, falling in love with a girl and baffling the oblivious and unprofessional police force trying to hunt him down. I had seen it many times, and we were all familiar with John Landis' work because I showed Kentucky Fried Movie, which I think shocked everybody. It's a funny movie.
One of the funniest movies I've seen in a while.
Directed by Landis, but also written by the Zucker brothers, who would do Airplane and the Naked Gun movies. So I thought this was a fun one to do, though, despite the fact that he's done things like Animal House and Blues Brothers, John Landis, which are pretty popular comedy movies, and others. The movie, because it has a low budget, it relies on its comedy more than anything else. It doesn't have crazy special effects or set pieces to rely on. It has to be funny to work.
I'd even say that it uses its low budget for comedy.
Yes.
The main character, the titular character, if you will, Schlock, the ape, who is John Landis. Great performance, by the way. It's very obvious it's a guy in a suit.
Right.
But they use that for comedy, and they reference it early on. There's a joke about that where reporters interviewing me is like, is that an ape suit you're wearing?
And the ape suit was built by Rick Baker,
who went on to...
He did King Kong in 1976. You know, as good as like visual effects are and mocap work has become, you can see the human's eyes in the suit in this movie, and I think it makes it a little more real sometimes, despite the suit being as goofy as it is, because you can actually see human expression.
I get what you're saying, but I just don't, you look at stuff like the Planet of the Apes trilogy, we can really do mocap and CGI really well, but I get what you're saying about there's a physicality to it that it's a bit of a willing suspension of disbelief, where if you just allow yourself to get past the fact that it's a dude in an ape suit, it's very funny.
Again, because they don't have a huge budget, a lot of the comedy is focused on, funny gestures, funny lines of dialogue, and things that don't require a big budget. So they were, even within their budget, forced to put the comedy in things that weren't expensive. And just a note that I wrote down that's not too spoilery, I guess. There's a lot of visual gags to do in the movie, like things in the background, which I like a lot because it makes you pay attention to the frame and stuff like that. They utilize a lot of that stuff, instead of, these bigger, grander sets that they don't really have the money for.
It's definitely kind of a goofball comedy overall. The characters are either completely incompetent or slightly incompetent. There are no smart characters.
Basically, when Schlock comes up, he's causing all these, murders around the town, and he's leaving bananas everywhere, so that's, the banana murders. That's what's going on. So as the detectives are trying to figure that out, Schlock is going around doing whatever around the suburbs, doing a bunch of various things. I mean, later in the movie, he goes to the movie theater. He does a bunch of random things, one which we can talk about in a second. But then he meets this blind girl who just got surgery, some laser eye surgery. Now she's not blind anymore.
Well, when he meets her, she's blind. When
Right.
he first does, and she thinks he's some big dog. He's looking at me ooh, trying to poke her breast. It's very, it's what you'd expect. It's very funny, though.
Basically, the whole movie is him trying to get back with her. That's his goal of the movie. He's like, oh, I like that girl. I'm going to go find her. That's where you get the King Kong sort of, side of that's beauty and the beast side of the story.
Schlock is probably the smartest character in the movie, actually.
Yep.
I gotta say. And he's an ape. Bits of comedy where he's reacting to the stupidity around him.
Yes. He interacts with people, and it's not like a fish out of the water movie where it's he's aggressive towards humans. He's not some kind of animal that's trying to hurt people or anything. He's trying to navigate a world that he presumably used to remember, California back millions of years ago, and he's coming to grips with all of these human inventions, a lot of things in the movie, and he's just trying to make friends.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Sounds of Schlock with Dan. Title music's a bit misleading. It's a jolly, happy scene, and then bunch of dead everywhere, dead corpses. So when they initially show off the Schlock, they specifically show him growling, and the first time I heard that, it honestly sounded like someone just farted into a microphone, and they just took that recording. When Billy falls into the hole, when they're discovering like the cave where Schlock comes from in the open field, there's a part where it is very clear that there is reverb on his voice to act as if he's in the cave. When he drops in the cave, there is a split second and a half where the reverb cuts. I don't know if that's an editing error or whatever you want to call it, but it sounds like an issue that could be fixed in post, but either the team was too lazy or there wasn't enough budget. There are punching sounds from Schlock, and yes, I know it's a comedy, but the punching sounds aren't present. Please make the punching sounds present. It sounds way better. Okay, so the police. The theme is hilarious. It's not only just like circus clown music, the random horn sounds, and just the cartoony piano music, whereas, most movies with cops portray them as super serious. This is not it. The whole point where Schlock enters every scene. Now, it's going to be really comedic, whatever he's going to do. People just don't even notice him, but there's a very, very deep synth sound. It just sort of draws that a major point is about to happen or something big in the story that's going to result in some sort of catastrophe. So, the synth, another great element for such a low-budget film. All right, so this has been the audio of Schlock with Dan, and I will see you next week.
To get into the human characters, I think everyone's favorite has to be the detective.
Oh my God, absolutely.
With the crazy haircut, which, by the way, the costumes and like the look of people in this movie, another great thing about comedies, they have an excuse to be absurd about everything, and that especially comes with, personalities and especially costumes. He's got like this crazy like Doc Brown looking thing. It's
big goofy glasses
too. And his whole character is this like very straight, I think the first really thing he says in the movie is the reporters asking him, "Oh, these banana murders." And he's like, "Can you reassure the public?"
I love that moment. He just says,
"Surely you have some sort of lead, some hunch you're following?"
We haven't a clue. And I would say this thing's going to get a lot worse before it gets better.
And the deadpan delivery is so phenomenal, as it is with all the characters in this movie.
Yeah.
But I think he was definitely the star of that deadpan delivery, especially like when he gets absolutely riddled with bullets by his men, somehow survives, which, I guess the laws of comedic timing saved him.
Sure.
But he just kind of walks over to them like it's like just a sigh.
It's
He's
great.
just kind of done with their shit.
The cop that's kind of like the detective's right-hand man is this really tall, like, buffoon guy who can't help but mess everything up. Like, I think when one of my favorite moments is playing with the lighter. Then he tries to light the detective's cigarette.
Blows his fucking face up.
Great.
That's another one of those moments that, like, the effects are kind of bad. Like, they do a very obvious cut to when his face is covered with, like, soot and blast marks. Another moment, he drops the lighter and it sets something on fire, and it's this very clearly fake fire effect they're doing.
With the detective, there's a couple like gags that come along the way. Like he has these phone calls with this Gloria person, I think, like over and over again, and like those conversations, like the dialogue's weird. And you made a note, and I'll let you say it about something that was in the dialogue.
This is the earliest "Don't call me Shirley" joke I've seen in one of these comedies, and I just went, "They said it." They said the line, Shirley, something or other. The detective says, "Don't call me Shirley." Just perfectly deadpan.
You can definitely see how it inspired that kind of genre of comedy that came in the late 70s and 80s.
You know what he is? The Detective Wino is his name, because of course it is. Everyone has a hilarious name. The sad thing, my favorite one is probably Joe Putzman, the reporter. It's just a groaner of a name. Just like, oh, come on. Wino is kind of like the Leslie Nielsen characters in Airplane and The Naked Gun, without any kind of the like seriousness or like respectability of Leslie Nielsen who's playing him, where he just looks like a goofball too, but he's very serious about himself. This movie really sells the cops and also the news as being the kings of incompetence in this world of incompetent people.
It's all the authorities that you would expect
to
be professional. They're not.
The news, I love that they're at these like this horrible murder, and they're talking about how bad it was, and there's like a cart full of bodies just moving past them. He's like, and if you can guess how many bodies were in those body bags, you'll win a free chicken dinner.
It's so
And they show the bodies, and then the arm twitches, and it's so fucking funny. You know, my favorite recurring joke is the cops driving.
Yeah, it is. It's great.
Every shot of the cops driving, they're swerving through the traffic, going the wrong way, going in circles.
Turning around. There's
and
a lot
it
of
keeps
screen
coming
time.
back, and it's so damn funny.
But I guess we just have to talk about the 2001 moment.
The single best moment, the best sequence in the entire movie. Would you like to lead us into this?
So this is part of where Schlock is kind of just. I think might be the point where he just left the big sort of interview scene where the news was like, oh my God, they're trapping Schlock, and he escapes, and no one knows that he's the ape. So he's at a gas station, and he sees bananas in the window of a store.
It's a banana store.
Oh, it is. I didn't even notice. And then on the ground, there's a random like jawbone for some reason at a picnic table eating something. There's this like really scraggly, 70s guy just sitting there watching this whole thing.
Kind of like jaw a little dropped.
Yeah.
And they're playing the music from 2001. I can't remember what it's called. It's not from that movie, but everyone knows it from that movie.
Obviously, they're alluding to the whole Dawn of Man scene with the apes in 2001. But I love that this movie puts that epic music, though I don't like 2001, I actually like the beginning. It puts that epic music to the dumbest scene ever filmed. He's just playing with the bone, just flipping it around. He does it for so long, they actually have to loop the song back and start over. And then we come to the throw, which they even make fun of that too.
He throws it, and it comes back, and he throws it again, and it just comes back. And it's so funny. And it ends with him running out of the store with tons of bananas, and he throws in the guy's face and just runs off, and you see the guy starting to lose it, like the actor. It's just a perfect scene.
I think they just filmed that scene just to have fun. They didn't care about really how that related to the story.
It's got nothing to do with the story.
Like
it's
it could have been this thing. Oh, Schlock gets all these bananas for himself. He just throws them.
Yeah,
it's just it was just a fun scene to poke
It's just
fun.
another excuse to like make fun of another ape movie,
which came out only like 5 years before this movie or something. So
yeah, they reference in the
pretty
beginning,
relevant.
like first there was King Kong, then there was 2001, now Schlock.
Obviously, the end of the movie, it's basically a King Kong story. He goes to the blind girl's high school dance, tries to get with her. He goes inside. He takes out the security guards and.
He throws a guy up in the air. He comes down, and it's this obviously fake body that kind of bounces on the ground, ragdolls around.
Yep. And then obviously he gets through the guards, takes the girl, goes to the top of the high school, and then they bring in the National Guard, I think they said, which is just a limo of endless.
Yep. They're just crawling out of it like clowns in a little clown car. They get him to jump off the roof after he drops the girl, and he's down there. He's like, open fire! Bam, 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 just unloading all their clips. And then he kind of looks around like, they missed. I'm fine.
I think when he was dying, you could actually see some real sadness in his eyes when he was reaching out. Schlock was like, feeding ducks with this little girl. He broke into an ice cream place and got a big ass banana split, I think.
Of course, it's banana split. Everyone runs off screaming. He just walks out with his banana split. Just like, hell yeah.
And then these two twins eat it with him, and then a dog comes in.
The movie theater with all the candy.
The movie theater.
He's trying to get the stupid coin thing to work, but he doesn't realize he needs a coin to put in. So he just asks someone over the counter to keep giving him candy. He's just like, okay, shit, fine, dude, just leave me alone.
And then the big irony of that one is, he's watching B movies from the 50s in the theater. He's in a 70s B movie. Another great moment is the piano. He's playing piano with a blind guy, and he all of a sudden just starts killing it.
He just learns how to play piano. That's one of the last scenes in the movie before the climax.
I think the performance of Schlock is good in the movie. It's probably my favorite, other than like little gags, but he's part of a lot of the gags. Like my favorite gag has to do kind of with his personality, where he's very human. Like when he invades the girl's home and like they're all afraid of him, and he just like starts hitting them with pillows. It's just so hilarious to me because he's very human-like, and I think the performance throughout the movie, there's really too many moments to cite, but it's just so interesting, and he has a lot of personality, I think, and that's probably the best thing about the movie.
You would have kind of hyped up that moment as like your favorite moment in the movie. I didn't think it was that funny, and that leads into just that this movie is a mixed bag. It's not every joke lands. There's some aspects of the filmmaking that are that show some like lack of experience. There's a couple white balance issues. it's not one of the great comedies, but it was also an early project. And I think that's something important to take away from this, that your first movie is probably, even if this isn't like his first movie, your early stuff is not going to be the best, but you got to just make it, because if you don't make it, you're never going to learn from it.
I think this movie is fantastic for what it is, and I think it's clear that this had influence through the entire comedy genre for a couple decades. Not just this film alone, but specifically the people who were involved in it. Definitely expanded their popularity after this movie, and it's clear to see their influence in it. And also Rick Baker's great. Right?
You know, that actually leads right into my lesson from the movie. The ape suit, it looks bad, but it totally works in the movie. It's kind of funny that it doesn't look like the most realistic suit. It looks like a really good costume you could buy at a store, but it's a costume that looks like you could buy at a store. You know, aside from willing suspension of disbelief, bad effects are kind of funny, and in a comedy it works.
They knew they had a low budget, so it's learning to play with that. Learning to say, hey, if I'm going to make a movie that's going to make people laugh, even things that are bad in my budget or bad in my production, I'm going to make the audience laugh with me and not at me. And I think this movie does that really well. I experience this too. It's just so much easier to elicit a response from people, getting them to laugh, right? If they're not going to take your stuff seriously, then just play into that. I think this movie does it really well, and I think that kind of coincides with what you just said.
You know, I will say, though, it's a lot easier to scare people than it is to make them laugh, and this movie certainly does make you laugh. It doesn't fall in the trap that some older comedies fall into of, like, it's offensive nowadays, because it's really not. Just a fun old time.
So I guess those are our opinions of Schlock, not Son of Schlock. We're not doing that one.
Oh, thank God.
Hello, welcome to... Hi, welcome to Funny Notes. The title of this piece I'd like to call is called Penis, Cock, Male Pet, Phallus, Pecker, Dick, and Prick.
Title?
Kids have a fun day at the playground.
Oh my god.
Humanity when no McDonald's in 5 Mile. My toy for a quick expansion.
Oh, the boob toy.
Pessimistic Go to Boston. Red Jackets, a grower.
Oh my God.
Schlock need job. Schlock need job. Wrecked, handcuffed, and then I just have this face. Human like first of throw. Ensue movie reference. Attention, guys! Attention, attention, everyone! Sus alert, guys! Yellow trash can? Sus!
Oh, no!
You know what? Cars are so easily buildable. Master penises.
What?
The master penis. Mommy matchmaker. To end off the day, this is not a blank piece of paper. This is not a blank piece of paper. Right here, I've envisioned Ryan's child, Shaw Smith. That's the baby right there.
What the fuck?
See, get a nice good close-up on that one. Yeah, looks great. Okay, his likes are learning, thrift shopping, natural-born killers, girls, in 1999.
Fuck off.
Dislikes are sports, Among Us, and bananas.
I love bananas.
Good job, Gregory. Fly away.
Hey, look at that.
We have a new little prop for the set, and this is going to play into how we pick our movies for next week. So, you get to pick, but here's what we'll do. We have 4 boxes. Now, because we picked more movies than mine, technically there's more of Corwin's movies in here, but that's okay. What's going to happen, you're going to pick a box out of the 4. That is 1. That is 4. I'm going to take that box. I'm going to move them around a little bit, and you get to pick.
No, I got to go for 3.
3? And if we pick one of my movies, I'm going to be an asshole, and I'm going to celebrate. I have to do it.
You got to do it.
Just
I
after
do mine.
Because I know your Blade Runner reaction.
I was excited for it, and if you get one
Pissed
you're
me
excited
off.
for, you got to be excited for it. And we are watching Stanley Kubrick, A Clockwork Orange.
I am so excited for A
Fuck
Clockwork
off.
Orange. I'm so
Fuck
excited.
off. Stanley Kubrick, he's a great filmmaker. It's kind of a sci-fi piece, kind of a little bit, not really.
It's
I guess you
psycholo-
could say dystopian a little bit.
It's psychological, could be called dystopian sci-fi. It's Stanley Kubrick, and it's our first and maybe our last Kubrick movie. I don't know.
And all that, and you were shitting on 2001.
I was, because it's horrible. Okay, see everybody next week.
Bye.